Alrighty guys, welcome to the channel. So today's video is going to be on changing oil on a conventional old school Sportster. This is a 2006 XL 1200 and we're going to be using Mobil 1 20W50. Now I've been using Lucas on this bike, but I've recently moved over to Mobil 1. I actually like it a lot better. On my Softail, I tend to use actually a better oil that Harley provides. I'll put that in the chat as well, but this is my Softail. I'll do another video on changing the oil on these. This actually has 3 different holes that you have to change. But the nice thing about the old school Sportsters is they actually only have 2. You just have to do the engine oil as well as the primary. So we're gonna do all that pretty simply, but we're just gonna show you where the things are on the bike. So here's our oil filter itself. Now these take about 3 quarts, but realistically Sportsters only take about 2.5 to 2 3/4, mainly because they have a blowback. Now this is an old school Sporty, so it actually is carbureted, but we have this little window right here, and that's how we're gonna change the primary. I will do that of course with it. Here's our actual oil filter that we're gonna pop off. Here is where the oil goes in, and then underneath the bike there is a little drain. Let's see if I can get on camera, but see this little nipple right here? This is actually as simply as it is. You're just gonna pop that off and drain it out. Now you're gonna wanna drain this when it's nice and hot. So don't do it when it's cold. Of course, check it when it's hot as well. And take it for a nice, decent sized ride, and then just let it idle. And get it as hot as you possibly can get it. Go for a good ride. The longer the ride, the better the oil change and how much smoother it's gonna go. So sorry for my stumbling. It's early in the morning and I wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. So let's get started. Another great oil that I actually prefer more than Mobil 1 is AMSOIL, and this is what I use on my Softail. It just runs better and it keeps it cooler. Mobil 1's great just because you can find it literally pretty much at any O'Reilly's, and I think AutoZone carries it as well. But if you do want to use an AMSOIL, this one is just as good, if not better. When I do the primary, I actually like to use gear and chain case oil just because it's thicker and it makes the primary just run a lot smoother. Like when you're changing gears, you can feel it. This is especially blended for Sportsters. So this is what's gonna go in our primary, not in our engine oil, of course. Now you could use your 20W50 in there. I prefer not to. I mean, you could go both, but if you're gonna do it, might as well get the better oil. That's just my personal opinion. You're already changing it, might as well just do it the right way. I mean, you could, of course, get away with just throwing 20W50 in there, but I mean, it doesn't hurt that much to throw in another $5 and get the actual gear and chain case oil. Here's another side note, but one of the things I've learned from riding for over 10 years is definitely if you can get yourself a little saddle bag where you can keep your tools in. I keep this on my Softail, but it comes in so much clutch. Like just simply tire pressure gauge, like stuff like this. When you're stuck on the side of the road and you need like a hex key or just anything simple, this makes a great addition. So the very first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pop this open. So that way we can let air in. Now you just that simple. That's the very first step. Now the next step, of course, is we're going to take, I believe it's a flathead. We're gonna go underneath this bike. We're gonna put our drain pan underneath that, and we're just gonna pop that little screw right there, if you can see. And then just simply let it drain out. Now another trick is sitting on the bike and standing up straight so the oil comes out even quicker. Of course, put in a drain pan so you don't make a huge mess. And if you need gloves, you can use gloves. I personally don't use gloves. I've been doing this, I think, long enough where it just kind of like, you just go wash your hands and with degreaser find some type of faucet. Especially try not to do it in the house, because then your significant other's gonna get pissed. You don't want oil draining down the sink. That's like the worst thing you can do. And then of course, if you can, when you're done changing the oil, put the old oil back into the new quarts and just take it to an O'Reilly's or AutoZone or anything like that, and they can dispose of it the right way. Don't try to throw it in the trash can, especially your neighbor's trash can. They're gonna get pissed, bro. So learn from experience. So that's it, guys. Let's start getting going. Hey guys, so I set up a little tripod so you can watch me do it. But we're gonna take our drain pan, of course, we're gonna put it underneath. And we're gonna get underneath the bike. Okay, here we go. Fast forward a little bit. So we're just gonna take this bad boy out, like so. Now notice that's just kind of like slowly coming out. No reason to rush it. and then we're just gonna let that sucker drain. Now this, depending on how hot your oil is, it's gonna come out faster. You can look at your actual drain. This oil's not in the worst shape, but I just haven't changed it in over a year. I've been traveling. I was in Guam and then Asia, but this is one of the funnest parts. So another tip that I like to do is stand the bike up straight, and then it's gonna drain oil, of course, a lot faster. Now, this bike personally takes 3 quarts of oil, but this bike has a lot of blowback. Sportsters kind of tend to blow oil through their air cleaner. So some people like to only put like 2.5 quarts. I personally like to put like 2 and maybe 3 quarts, maybe a little thirds, just to kind of keep it there. The other trick is this is something people never mention, is no matter how long you sit here and you drain this oil, you're never gonna get all the oil out. So there's gonna be a little bit of oil left in the actual engine. So just don't always put too much oil in, because that's even worse. And if you do end up putting too much oil in, one of the things that I recommend doing is, instead of having to sit there and drain it, you could simply get one of these bad boys. I know it's kind of old school, but you suck it right back out from the actual oil tank itself, and this will save you a lot of headaches if you end up adding too much oil. All right, guys. Now, like I said, if you simply just stand the bike up, it's actually going to drain a lot faster. So if you can, just kind of sit upright, I don't know, play on your phone, watch a movie, go on YouTube, do whatever you got to do to entertain yourself. This really doesn't take too long, but I'm just kind of OCD, and I like to try to get as much oil out of it as I possibly can. Shake it, try to filter it out. There we go. Now, while we drain the oil, of course, from underneath, we're going to want to take out this oil filter. Now, I'm going to be using I believe this is 11/16 to break the seal. I don't know if you can see it on there. Barely can. Okay, so I already broke the seal, so it's nice and loose. So then we're just going to literally just take our hand and untighten it. Now, when we take this off, it's going to make a mess. So I'm going to show you guys a little tip and trick that I've learned over the years. But as we're draining the oil, of course, that's the next step. And then lastly, we're going to do our primary, and then we're going to add our oil. Here's my like personal kind of little trick is, now Harley actually sells the actual tool, but if you don't want to use it, I mean, you really don't need to. I just grab a little piece of cardboard, right? And I just kind of bend it like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to use it as my filter, or my funnel, I guess you would say. So we're going to take it, let's see if we can set the camera up. We're just going to kind of put it like this underneath, right? And then with the hope that it's going to grab as much oil as possible, kind of make a little slip and slide with it like so. And then we're just going to use our drain plug. We're going to put our drain plug underneath. Now, the better you get with this, the more creative you can get with it, but this is kind of like my little trick I've used over the years. I've had this bike for 14 years. I bought it when I was 16, and she's a 2006 and I'm 31. So yeah, she's been through it, and we've changed this oil many times. But next step. Now, as we can see, there's pretty much no drips left. I'll probably stand the bike up one more time to get anything pretty much out, and then we're going to put our plug back in before we empty out the other one. Now we're tight underneath the other side, plug's back in, and now we're just going to simply do our actual foil oil filter. So we're going to come over here like so, make sure our drain plug is everything's set up, and then we're going to hope that our Hurricane Harbor slide is going to work. So we're just going to loosen this by hand, of course. Now when we put this back on with our new one, we're of course only going to hand tighten. We don't want to use any type of tools. So we're gonna go a little underneath. Yeah, somewhat working. Ooh, I've had better setups before, but we slowly let this just drain out. All right, so we're gonna want to clean this up as much as we possibly can. So really get in there, have your OCD be as satisfied as possible. The reason is because I personally like to do it as clean as I can, because when you go to start this bike up again after putting in all the oil and the situation, you're going to want to see if you have any oil leaks. And there's nothing worse than old oil that's dripping down and you're trying to figure out, like, well, is that an oil leak or is that just old oil? So, all right, so this is actually one of my favorite parts. So here's our new oil filter, right? Our K&N, I love K&N. If you want to just go with the basic Harley Davidson one, you can. But these are great because they have this nipple and it's super easy to take off. I should have said that earlier, but I totally got behind myself. But if you do get the conventional Harley Davidson one, I don't think they have them like that anymore, but they have a tool so you can take it off. But if you're going to do it, I like the K&N. They're super easy to take off. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our new oil and we're going to put just a little bit of oil around this ring right here. And then we're gonna I like to add a little bit of oil into the actual filter itself. So that's the next step. Of course, dip it with your finger and then just slide right around it. And the reason we do that is so when we go to do our next oil change, this bad boy pops right off. So we have our oil, it's nice and lubricated. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hand tighten this. Hand tighten, very important that you hand tighten. Do not use any tools to tighten this down. And the reason is because you do not wanna break that like seal. So we're just gonna simply hand tighten. Let me see if I can get that on camera. If not, I might have to just edit it. We're gonna pop her on. Nice and slowly. I'm just gonna hand tighten that on. Do not force it, just let it go. Just like so. And she's on. Now that we've got that on, our drain plug underneath is on, we get to do the best part. We come around to the other side of the bike, we take this bad boy out, and we get to add our oil. So we're gonna grab our 20 W50. Now you could use a funnel. Honestly, I really don't think you need to. As I say that, I make a huge mess, you know. We're just gonna add our first quart. Just watch it go down. We're gonna do this until we think we're full. We'll max out at 3. So I've added about 2 3/4 quart amounts of oil. So now we're gonna simply put our dipstick back in. Now you see it says check oil hot. I don't know if you can see in the shadow, but you want it to be right there between the fill and the full. We're gonna pop this back in. And then what we're gonna do, my hands are all oily. We're gonna pop it in. We're actually gonna start the bike. We're gonna let it run for a good amount of time. And we're gonna let the oil circulate. And then we're gonna see if we have any leaks. During that time, of course, once it gets nice and hot again, we can change the primary after we. But right now, it's all about checking the oil, make sure we got our right oil level, and seeing if we have any leaks. So we're gonna start her up next. This bike's super quiet, but we wanna make sure that that oil light turned off. Now, if that oil light for any reason stays on, you need to shut your bike off. All right, so we've let her run. We've let the oil circulate. Now what we're gonna simply do is make sure we had no leaks. We check the dipstick and the oil is right where it needs to be on the dipstick. And now it's time to finally do the primary. Okay, now with the primary, it's this whole case right here, but we're gonna use this window right here to change our oil when we add it, but we're actually gonna need to get to our drain plug, which sits underneath this right here, which is this bad boy right here. I believe it's a 5/8, I'm gonna double check, but now this one's actually just as easy, if not easier. Okay, now it is a 5/8. Now I've already broken it loose, so now we can do one or two things. We can use our fingers, of course, to take it out. Excuse all my random footage of the sidewalk. Now we can use our fingers, of course, to pop her out if we're tight enough. Or another trick is you actually use your socket. Pop it in like so, and just use your socket to loosen it. Once it's So this is when we grab our drain plug, or not our drain plug, but our drain pan, I'm sorry. We're gonna pop it underneath here. So, catch all the oil that comes out. Now, this is the fun part, because you wanna make sure that when you pull this out, you don't drop it in your drain pan. So we're just gonna do it nice and slowly, and a bunch of oil is gonna pop out of this as we do that. So, she's a coming. And there you go. Now it's all over my hands, but you got the gist. All right, so now we're gonna pop open our window to even help it drain some more. So just like this, we're just gonna loosen these up. I've already cracked them open, so nice and easy. Now that she's open, so you're actually gonna wanna replace this. Now you could use the same old one again if it's in really good condition, but most people recommend replacing it, just as well as our O-rings, if you can. I don't know if you can see my fingers in the way. Definitely replace our O-ring on our actual drain plug. So we're gonna pop those off and then put new ones on, of course, before we reinstall everything. Now this is actually, we're gonna add our oil. We're gonna use a funnel, and we're gonna pop it in there, and we're gonna add our quart of gear oil in there. But before we do any of that, of course, I am OCD, and I like to just clean everything I possibly can. So I get in there and just kind of clean it all up. You can actually see inside pretty dang good. So I'm going to show you the funnel. It's going to be hard to do with one hand, but I'm going to pop a funnel right in here, and I'm just going to add the oil nice and slowly. Of course, we're going to put our new drain plug in there first. Now, if you have a second person, they could be sitting on the bike where the bike is upright, so it drains even quicker. But I'm going to do that really quick so I can get any kind of last oil out of this. Okay, so now we've added our new O-rings. Let me get rid of this old one on all three of our setups. Okay, so I couldn't record this on video, but I just added this to that. Now, if you can get someone to sit on the bike and do it, it's so much easier, but I personally just sat and then up on here and then used it with one hand to pour it in. So that's how I did it. I wish I could have got that on video for you guys, but literally just adding the quart of this to that. Now, you don't necessarily need to put a whole quart because you have some oil in there. Some people get a little, like, really measuring it with it. I always just go quart. I find that to be the easiest. So now I'm going to take my new one of these, put that on there, and pop everything back in, tightened, and then we're going to start her up, make sure we have no oil leaks, and then maybe go for a 5-mile ride or so around and just really get it circulating, and then come back and check the oil again. And that's pretty much it, guys. Hey guys, and that's pretty much it. If there's any questions, feel free to comment and I'll try to answer as many as I can. If this video was helpful at all, please subscribe. I'm brand new to this YouTube thing, so any kind of subscription would be absolutely amazing. Any type of likes, any type of comments. Even heck, you could judge about how much, like, it could just look like I just spent the whole night working. But here's my bikes. I'll do a simple walk around of the Sportster as well as my Softail. So now my Softail is right here. I like World War II, so I tried to design it. Well, I like the style of World War II bobbers, so I tried to design it like that. But this is my Softail Slim. I'll do an oil change on this bike next so you guys can see it, but I'll do a little walk around of it so you guys can see my Softail. And then we're gonna do my Sportster next. But here's the bike we worked on today. This is my 2006. The other's a 2014. Now I've done a lot of customization to this bike, obviously, with powder coating and upgraded shocks and CC bars and bars. But there we go, guys. Thanks so much for watching.